Hi guys, Morito Ravenberg here again. Welcome in advance to live stream number 29. So yeah, these live stream are I'm sorry. Oh, holy shit. These live streams are really starting to pile on. And yeah, in any case, welcome in advance. The topic today that we'll be discussing is prophecies. Of the topics that we'll be discussing, the topic as a whole, singular, is going to be prophecies, occult theme prophecies, occult theme prophecies, prophecies. Shit, misspelling prophecies. Discussing occult theme prophecies and how legit or credible they potentially are. Elder Galarga and Clark Dennis are online. Hello, guys. Hello, guys. Hello, hello, hello. On a side note, it seems like I'm incapable of hosting a live stream in advance. If I click on schedule live stream, I seemingly can't. I can't schedule a live stream in advance. So it's another one of YouTube's bullshit things that don't work properly. Give me a second. Just need to grab a handkerchief. And I just need to blow my nose. Yeah, I just need to blow my nose. I'm sorry. I woke up not too long ago. So, yeah. That's it. My local time. Today's obviously Saturday. Saturn's Day. The day of Saturn. Old man Saturn. Or Saturn. My local time is 3:08 p.m. So 8 minutes past 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And weather here is rainy and whatnot, but it's still warm despite the fact that it's so dark. Not really dark, but semi-dark outside, etc. So yeah. Oh, I've got 3 people watching this. It's been sent out that the stream is officially up and running. Usually, I like to dawdle a bit and wait until enough people come online in order to in order to discuss whatever it is that we're discussing, which is the topic of prophecies. Um, so yeah. Let me see. Elvir Galarga says, I dislike the fact that I have Saturn on my fifth house. Oh. Largana says, your thoughts about the book of Genesis. Yeah, hold on, guys. Of course, you guys are also allowed to ask miscellaneous questions, but I would like to reserve those after we have discussed that topic. So, yeah, I'm going to take on my usual stance, my usual Italian mafia stance. Uh, okay, 5 people are coming online. Or 5 people have come online. Stream needs to grow first. I dislike repeating myself. So yeah, I hope that my buddies like Code 919, David B, etc. are also going to come on. But it's good. We're good even if they don't. You know what? To pass the time a bit before I begin talking about the topic that is highlighted, I'm going to answer your miscellaneous questions. Elver Galaga says, do archangels know the future in advance since they are connected to God? Some of them do. They do, but up to a certain extent, as much as God allows them to do so. Eric Clark Dennis is asking me your thoughts about the book of Genesis. What thoughts exactly on relating to the Genesis? Clark Dennis, do you mind refreshing my memory on what Genesis is about? Shortly summarized, Genesis. Uh, Let me see. So yeah, in any case, yeah, I am going to begin So yeah, let's discuss prophecies. Let's talk prophecies. Most of us are familiar with prophecies in the sense that we're familiar with the concept of a prophecy. So by definition, a pre a de- any event or situation that has yet to manifest itself or has yet to come being accented or accentuated or simply laid bare by someone in advance. That would be roughly stated the definition of a prophecy. So a prophecy is simply when someone predicts the future, when someone talks about an event that has yet to come or has yet to occur. Jason Dunn has come online. Hello, Jason. You can see what the topic is for yourself. We've only just started, so don't worry, you're on time. You're on time this time. So yeah, that's what a prophecy pretty much is, and we're familiar with prophecies, and most of us have heard of people like Nostradamus and other figures making prophecies of centuries ago about things that are occurring and even things that have yet to occur in the future. Jason Dunn is laughing at my mafia look and my eyes being obscured. So yeah, let's simply go over it because within occultism, within certain grimoires, for example, the Goetia, so the Lesser Key of Solomon, Book 1, there are also mentions of spirits that can simply prophesize for you, as in knowing the past, present, and future, specifically the future. And we're simply going to list a couple of examples, regardless of whether they're credible or true or not. Uh, An first example, the Goetia, the third spirit Fasago, is said to be able to declare things past and to come. Second example, Amon, the seventh spirit is Amon. He telleth all things past to come. Barbatos, the same thing too. Gusion, the same thing too. Eligos, the same thing too. He discovereth hidden things and knows things to come, and of wars and how the soldiers will or shall meet. Botis too, he telleth all things past and to come. So as you can see, plenty of examples. Purshon, it just goes on. Epos, the Goetia is loaded with spirits like these that can allegedly foretell the future. Whether that's true is a different matter altogether. Okay, most of them cannot, or for most of them in any case, it's ridiculously far-fetched and it grossly exaggerated. In the Goetia specific case, it simply hints at clairvoyance, but it's like telling me. I mean, it's like telling people that I because I conquered my neighborhood, that I conquered the entirety of Suriname, of the country that I live in, which is obvious bullshit. It's uh, it's boasting for me, or it's exaggerating in my name. And to say that it's exaggerating is an understatement. It's a gross over exaggeration. Um, so yeah, most of us are familiar, for example, with the prophecies of Nostradamus and so on. So we're going to go over it. For example, I'm going to read a bit from Nostradamus' Wikipedia page, and then we'll go over his prophecies, and then you yourself can see what we're simply going to discuss what occult means Nostradamus might have used, or occult techniques in order to obtain the information, because most prophecies out there are not 100% correct. They tend to get a couple of things wrong, but some of them are correct, and that alone warrants enough investigation, so to speak. So yeah, let's just go over Nostradamus first, okay? Most people don't know in detail who Nostradamus is, but they are aware of Nostradamus being they are aware of Nostradamus being a one of the most well-known prophets out there, or having made one of the most well-known prophecies. So let's begin. Michel de Nostradame, depending on the source, 14 or 21, December the 21st, 1503, and that's his day of birth. So, and he died on either 1 or July the 2nd, 1566. Usually Latinized as Nostradamus, was a French astrologer, physician, and reputed seer who is best known for his book Les Prophecies, a collection of 942 poetic quatrains, allegedly predicting future events. The book was first published in 1555 and has rarely been out of print since his death. For the rest, we don't really need to know a lot about Nostradamus. It said here that his family was originally Jewish, but they converted to Catholicism before he was born. Um, and it is also said that in the years since the publication of Nostradamus' book Les Prophéties, French for the prophecies, he has attracted a large number of supporters who, along with much of the popular press, credit him with having accurately predicted many major world events. And most academic sources reject the notion that Nostradamus had any genuine supernatural prophetic abilities and maintain that the associations made between world events and Nostradamus' quatrains are the result of misinterpretations or mistranslations. They argue that his predictions are characteristically vague, meaning that they could be applied to virtually anything and are useless for determining whether the author had any real prophetic powers. So yeah, we shall see. Hold on. We're going to hop on over to specifically the occult aspect of Nostradamus. Occultism. After another visit to Italy, Nostradamus began to move away from medicine and towards the occult, although evidence suggests that he remained a Catholic and was opposed to the Protestant Reformation. But it seems that he could have dabbled in horoscopes, necromancy, scrying, and good luck charms such as the Hawthorne rod. Following popular trends, he wrote an almanac for 1550, the first time in print, Latinizing his name to Nostradamus, blah, 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 etc., etc. Hold on for a second. I'm looking at the exact quatrains itself in his interpretations. Most of the quatrains deal with disasters such as plagues, earthquakes, wars, floods, invasions, murder, drought, and battles, all undated and based on foreshadowing by the Mirabilis Liber. Some quatrains cover these disasters in overall terms, others concern a single person or a small group of people. Some cover a single town, others several towns in several countries. A major underlying theme is an impending invasion of Europe by Muslim forces. Something that is already a warm debate from farther east and south, headed by the expected Antichrist, directly reflecting the then current Ottoman invasions and the earlier Saracen equivalents, as well as the prior expectations of the Mirabilis Liber. Okay, so yeah, for the rest it's simply blah blah blah, etc., etc. Okay, so we're simply going to go over his predictions, and they have everything in PDF here. Holy crap! Nostradamus, the prophecies in PDF. Let's see them. I need to download it. Holy crap! 13 pages. Yeah, hurry the fuck up. Come on, download that thing quick. Stupid piece of shit thing won't download. This is an accurate translation of the preface by M. Nostradamus to his prophecies. He wrote it as a letter to his son Caesar. Preface doesn't interest me. Now let's get down to the actual prophecies. Hold on. Okay, we need to go through the preface. Greeting and happiness to Caesar Nostradamus, my son. Your late arrival, my son, has made me spend much time in constant nightly reflection so that I could communicate with you by letter and leave you this reminder after my death for the benefit of all men, of which the divine spirit has vouchsafed me to know by means of astronomy. And since it was the Almighty's will that you were not born here in this region, and I do not want to talk of years to come, but of the months during which you will struggle to grasp and understand the work I shall be compelled to leave you after my death, assuming that it will not be possible for me to leave you such writing as may be destroyed through the injustice of the age. The key to the hidden prediction which you will inherit will be locked inside my heart. Also bear in mind that the events here described have not yet come to pass, and that all is ruled and governed by the power of Almighty God, inspiring us not by Bacchic frenzy nor by enchantments, but by astronomical assurances. Predictions have been made through the inspiration of divine will alone and the spirit of prophecy in particular. On numerous occasions and over a long period of time, I have predicted specific events far in advance, attributing all to the workings of divine power and inspiration, together with other fortunate or unfortunate happenings foreseen in their full unexpectedness, which have already come to pass in various regions of the earth. Yet I have wished to remain silent and abandon my work because of the injustice not only of the present time, but also for most of the future. I will not commit to writing. Blah 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 blah. Okay, listen, Nostradamus, I don't give a shit about your prelude to your son. Hold on for a second, guys. I want to start with. Okay, yeah, I've already gotten to it. Jole Milisevic has come online. Milisevic, which Goeric spiritual I invoke to help me get my ex-lover back. Save all the miscellaneous questions for later, okay? Which Goeric spirit should you summon to help get your ex-lover back? I'd say your choice. So yeah, finally, yeah. I've gotten past the introduction. I don't want to listen to blah blah blah. I just want these prophecies. The first is when the supernatural light fills and illuminates the person who predicts by astral science, while the second allows him to prophesy through inspired revelation, which is only a part of the divine eternity, whereby the prophet comes to assess what his divinatory vow has given him through the grace of God and by a natural gift, namely, that what is foretold is true and eternal in origin. And such a light and small flame is of great efficiency and scope and nothing less than the clarity of nature itself. The light of human nature makes the philosophers so sure of themselves that with the principles of the first cause, they reach the loftiest doctrines and deepest abysses. Okay, this is still the introduction. Oh, fuck. Okay, yeah, we're starting to get closer to home. But my son, lest I venture too far for your future perception, be aware that men of letters shall make grand and usually boastful claims about the way I interpret the world. Before the worldwide conflagration, which is to bring so many catastrophes and such revolutions that scarcely any lands will not be covered by water, and it will last until all have perished, save history and geography themselves. Okay, so the first thing Nostradamus is saying is that land will become scarce. So currently, I don't know if that was always the case. I think not. There was more land, but yeah, water seems to slowly but surely supersede land in the sense that the sea levels keep rising. Currently, 71% or 79% of the planet is covered in water, and the rest, I think, is just the 20 something percent comes close to 30% is land. When that wasn't the case, I think. So I understand that is already accurate in itself. This is why before and after these revolutions in various countries, the rains will be so diminished and such abundance of fire and fiery missiles shall fall from the heavens that nothing shall escape the Holocaust. And this will occur before the last conflagration. For before war ends the century and in its final stages, it will hold the century under its sway. Some countries will be in the grip of revolution for several years and others ruined for a still longer period. And now that we are in a republican era with Almighty God's aid and before completing its full cycle, the monarchy will return, then the golden age. For according to the celestial signs, the golden age shall return, and after all calculations, with the world near to an all-encompassing revolution. From the time of writing, 177 years, 3 months, 11 days, plague, long famine, and wars, and still more floods from now until the stated time. Before and after these, humanity shall several times be so severely diminished that scarcely anyone shall be found who wishes to take over the fields, which shall become free where they had previously been tied. Okay, so Nostradamus is also talking about wars that have taken place throughout history. But yeah, These are, in all honesty, not that I'm a skeptic, but in all honesty, these are general thingies. These are general statements, and I'm assuming that most of you will agree with me. This is a very general statement. I could have made such a statement too, that hey, wars are about to come and plague and famine, and it could be true to a more or lesser extent. But in this, it could be a coincidence. But in this context, or in this case, Nostradamus was right, of course, since when he wrote this, a good deal of wars have taken place, especially in medieval times, etc., all the way leading up to the last World War, World War One and Two, and plague and famine is also hit. Last plague to hit was, I think, what in medieval times, the Black Death and whatnot. Um, This will be after the visible judgment of heaven, before we reach the millennium which shall complete in all. In the firmament of the eighth sphere, a dimension whereon Almighty God will complete the revolution and where the constellations will resume their motion, which will render the earth stable and firm, but only if He will remain unchanged forever until His will be done. Okay, now he's saying that after the coming of Christ, the second coming, I'm assuming, before we reach the millennium, which shall complete all, if he's referring to the millennium in the terms of 2000, the year 2000, then that was wrong because, nothing happened in the millennium. There was no coming and whatnot. So, yeah, he is off on that one. And he also speaks of the firmament of the eighth sphere. I don't know exactly what he means by that, but it has to do with astronomy, specifically occult astronomy. Um, firmament, he simply means planetary constellation. Okay, so just think of one planet and what it governs. And he says the eighth sphere. If you were to assume the eighth sphere, then it would be, let's see, which thing corresponds to eight again? Um, Hold on. Um, Hold on, I need to check up this. I need to check out to see what thing it is. Jason Dunn says Mercury. I also expected Mercury, but I'm not entirely sure. I think it's Hood. Okay, you piece of crap. Numbers corresponding numbers. Yeah, I have it. No, I have it here. So yeah, it is Mercury. I just simply wanted to be sure. So it is Mercury. Assuming that he's referring to that, then that would basically mean the constellation of Mercury, or not the constellation of Mercury, but let's just say the constellations that Mercury governs, and so Mercury as a whole. Um, so yeah, but nothing has happened. So it was either a miscalculation from his part out or something similar. This is in spite of all the ambiguous opinions surpassing all natural reasons expressed by Mahomet. I have no idea who Mahomet is. So I'm simply looking up to see who Mahomet is. It could either be, Mahomet could be Muhammad, referring to Muhammad, as in the Islamic prophet Muhammad. Uh, yeah, it's an alternative spelling of Muhammad. Yeah. Okay, so that's what he means. Jason Dunn says, I love the 72 Shem as well. Elgar Galarga says, what do you think about repeating numbers 333 111? What does that mean? Muhammad is the prophet. The prophet from Islam, yes, duh. As for your 333 and 111 questions, I don't know. Okay. Signs of events to come must be manifested to whoever prophesizes. For prophecy, which stems from exterior illumination, is part of that light and seeks to ally with it and bring it into being, so that the part which seemed to possess the faculty of understanding is not subject to a sickness of the mind. Reason is only too evident. Everything is predicted by divine afflatus and thanks to an angelic spirit, inspiring the one prophesizing, consecrating his predictions through divine unction. It also divests him of all fantasies by means of various nocturnal apparitions. While with daily certainty he prophesies through the science of astronomy with the aid of sacred prophecy, his only consideration being his courage and freedom. Okay, So now we're coming closer to Muhammad. We're coming close to Nostradamus, his technique. Okay, based on everything that Nostradamus has said, the conclusion or the assumption that I would draw, the conclusion or the assumption that I would draw is that Nostradamus used astronomy, but he also dealt with angelic spirits. Yeah, he basically worked with angels, and these angels helped him to develop his astronomical skills. And so he combined astronomy with clairvoyance and vice versa. Based on what I've read, I'd say that angels taught him how to practice astronomy up to a sacred level, to the point where he could make predictions based on positions of planets and whatnot. He was an astronomer specifically, not an astrologer, so that's different. But yeah, I'm already. That's the conclusion that I can draw right away based on his notes. So that's the technique that he used. So yeah, that also explains why he was off, why he's off on a couple of things, because he simply hadn't perfected the technique, and of course it's not foolproof. And ultimately, I'd say that he worked with Oriel. Okay, since Oriel deals with these things, Oriel rules astronomy and planetary constellations and positions, and therefore can also teach you how to make prophecies, and can also teach you how to use this stuff for other ends, towards other ends, specifically prophecy being one of them. Yeah. So come, my son, strive to understand what I have found out through my calculations, which accord with revealed inspiration, because now the sword of death approaches us with pestilence and war more horrible than there has ever been, because of 3 men's work and famine. And this sword shall smite the earth and return to it often, for the stars confirm this of people, and it's also written, I shall punish their injustices with iron rods and shall strike them with blows. And you can also tell that Nostradamus is very biblical and he's just very biblical the way he speaks, as opposed to being scientific, more down to earth, etc. He seems to be using the Bible and, generally speaking, um, church-based phrases, Catholic-based phrases or Christianity-themed phrases, similar to that which is written in the Old as well as the New Testament. So uh, he speaks in such a way instead of actually keeping things down to earth, which I think would have made him more credible and more appealing to people. Uh, Jason Dunn says, I've heard he also used scrying techniques with hashish as well, whether that's true or not. Yeah, that's true. Nostradamus did use scrying techniques, okay? Like I said, I am almost sure of it. Based on what he said, he simply managed to successfully learn how to summon angels and these spirits, since he also had an interest in astronomy, a strong interest in astronomy. These spirits basically showed him, what to do, and they taught him techniques on how to see into the future. But of course, those visions will not always be correct. Alternatively, most likely they also taught him how to scry and how to tap into the akasha. That's a basic technique, and it's quite simple. But the thing is that these visions are not always trustworthy. It all depends on the accuracy and the skillfulness of the operator. And he says that he's confirmed it, but of course, we need to keep in mind that this was in medieval times, so you're not going to get everything correct. Similar to people that wrote grimoires, they didn't get all these things correct. Some of it was deliberate misinformation, but some of it was simply a miscalculation on their part out. So yeah. Uh, yeah, for the rest, you've got revelation like statements that he makes here about floods, God destroying the earth, etc., 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 etc. And yeah, now it begins. Century one. Sitting alone these are literally like poems. Sitting alone at night in secret study, it is placed on a brass tripod. The slight flame comes from the emptiness and makes successful that which should not be believed in vain. And yeah, for the rest, he simply makes statements. I must say I'm very fond of him. Nostradamus, Jason Dunn says, yes, I'm not a big fan of Nostradamus, but let's just say that he briefly appeals to me. The wand in the hand is placed in the middle of the tripod's legs. Here he basically discusses his occult techniques. He lights incense or similar. With water, he sprinkles both the hem of his garment and his foot. He basically consecrates the place. This is basically traditional Western ceremonial magic, Renaissance magic, if you will. A voice fear, he trembles in his robes, divine splendor, the god sits nearby. And yeah, this is where the spirit, the angel basically that he invokes by doing so, comes to him and discusses matters with him. When the letters are overturned by the world, when the faces are covered by cloaks, the new republic will be troubled by its people. At this time, the reds and the whites will rule wrongly. See, all of these are discussed. This is similar to Jesus, okay? Because remember, if you guys, people that still remember passages from the Bible, Old as well as New Testament, Jesus said to these people will be spoken in metaphors. Jesus never literally stated things, or as far as I can remember, barely stated things literally. He always spoke in not riddles, but he spoke in metaphors. Along the lines of give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Uh, teach a man how to fish and you feed him forever. That's how Jesus spoke. I distinctly remember from the New Testament back when I read it as a child that Jesus said to these people, "I shall speak to them in metaphors." Jesus never came out and literally said things, as far as I can remember, in the sense of, "Listen, this is gonna happen. This is gonna happen. I'm here for this reason." No, Jesus always made statements that were that made you that basically prompted you to think. Okay, so you had to really think in order to unravel it. Jesus wanted you to work for it, so to speak, and I understand that, of course. That's why he also said to these today, or to those that have eyes, let them see; to those that have ears, let them hear. That passage simply, or that statement simply said, in that statement, Jesus, with that statement, Jesus means that he's not going to spoon feed you. If you have ears and you have eyes, if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, and you have an actual mind that is capable of comprehension and understanding, then you'll be able to make sense of what he's saying. And that's the same thing with Nostradamus, based on what I'm seeing. Um, and yeah, statements like, "At this time the reds and whites will rule on, and the new republic will be troubled by its people. At this time the reds and the whites will rule wrongly." I think by reds and whites he meant communism. He's referring to the time when communism was at its peak, with world powers between the US and the Soviet Union back then, which is now Russia, of course. And in any case, when was I mean, based on what I can remember, communism was at its peak in those times, okay, in the beginning of the 19th century, when communism really gained a foothold, especially in the Soviet Union, since the Soviet Union was basically the poster child for communism, and it really gained a foothold. And that's what he means by red and whites, because as we can remember, the colors of communism, basically every communist country, have consistently been red and white. Specifically, the Soviet Union. We're not talking about the yellow specifically. The colors that they primarily used to represent themselves were red and white. And communism also spread to the rest of Asia, of course. I think to Vietnam too, Cambodia, you name it. You had a bunch of communist leaders that basically rose up. North Korea, still to this day. Jason Dunn says Jesus Christ is in my book the most significant magician and true high priest. Yes, I agree with you. He is um, Magi Magnum Opus. I love to say something like that. He is Magi Magnum Opus. He is Magi Magnum Opus. Yeah, Jesus is basically the trendsetter of occultism. Jason Dunn says, yes, you're correct. Yeah, that's basically the assumption that I can make based on his description. He's talking about when communism was at its peak power. That was literally in, I think, between right after the Second World War, before the Cold War, all the way leading up to the Cold War, before the Soviet Union collapsed, because a bunch of other countries or took the Soviet Union as an example, specifically countries in Asia. I already said which countries: Vietnam, Cambodia, I think, North Korea, and it just goes on. And to the point where the US even became afraid. The US was basically the poster child for capitalism, and it turned into, it was like a battle for supremacy between communism and capitalism. And yeah, that was what we know as the Cold War, which saw the significant changes in Europe specifically, since it was a proxy war for the most part. That's what he's referring to. In the world there will be made a king who will have little peace and a short life. At this time, the ship of the papacy will be lost, governed to its greatest detriment. Uh, Papacy can mean the office of the Pope, you name it, the Pope's reign, the system of government of the Roman Catholic Church, of which the Pope is the supreme head. So basically, the Vatican system style of religious rule. Who will have little peace and a short life. Nothing comes to mind really. I'm not knowledgeable on the Pope and whatnot. The ship of the papacy will be lost, governed to its greatest detriment. It could mean that the it could mean that the Catholic Church was experiencing instability. I'm not too familiar with the history because the church doesn't interest me as a whole. Neither does the Pope. Not to be an asshole, but it's hypocrisy. So yeah. In any case, I can't remember a pope that died really quick. I think he's referring to something along those lines. Jason Dunn says, sorry for this off-topic question, but do the archangels you've worked with ever mention the order of Melchizedek and the king himself? No, not really. It's not really necessary and relevant to my life specifically, unless I deliberately ask them, someone else says. So yeah. Other than that, it's not necessary. Um, They will be driven away for a long drawn out fight. The countryside will be most grievously troubled. Town and country will have greater struggle. Carcassonne and Narbonne will have their hard strife. Let me see. Carcassonne and Narbonne are cities in France. And he's referring to the Second World War, I'm assuming. Yeah, this is basically backtracking. He's referring to the Second World War. Okay, this is literally, they will be driven away for a long drawn out fight, which describes the Second World War when Germany expanded its wings and started literally overthrowing every country in Europe and took a good deal of Western Europe. The countryside will be most grievously troubled, which was the case, especially in France. Hence, D-Day occurring, aside from the beaches, partially also Normandy. Normandy was also basically a farm landscape, as far as I remember. Normandy and France. Town and country will have greater struggle. Carcassonne and Narbonne will have their hard strife. Yeah, I think these cities were these towns were the most affected in some way, shape, or form. So most likely he is referring to that. The eye of Ravenna will be forsaken when his wings will fall at his feet, will fail at his feet. The two of Brest will have made a constitution for Turin and Vercelli, which the French will trample underfoot. I don't know exactly what he means by that. I don't know. Maybe one of you guys is more knowledgeable on France specifically and France's role in this whole poem. The Eye of Ravenna. I have no idea what he means with the Eye of Ravenna. Ravenna is Syrian Italy, of course. The Eye of Ravenna will be forsaken. I don't know. Could refer to Hitler occupying Italy and taking the Vatican itself. You name it. When his wings will fall, will fail at his feet. The two of Brest will have made a constitution. Brest is a former French province. Yeah, could refer to a war treaty signed or similar. You name it. Arrived too late. The act has been done. The wind was against them. Letters intercepted on their way. The conspirators were 14th of a party by Rousseau. Shall these enterprises be undertaken? How often will you be captured, O city of the sun? Changing laws that are barbaric and vain. Bad times approach you. No longer will you be enslaved. Great Hadri will revive your veins. From the Orient will come the African heart to trouble Hadrian, the heirs of Romulus, the heirs of Romulus. Accompanied by the Libyan fleet, the temples of Malta and nearby islands shall be deserted. A coffin is put into the vault of iron where 7 children of the king are held. The ancestors and forebears will come forth from the depths of hell, lamenting to see thus dead the fruit of their line. The motion of senses, heart, feet, and hands will be an agreement between Naples, Lyon, and Sicily. Swords, fire, floods, and the noble Romans drowned, killed or dead because of a weak brain. There will soon be talk of a treacherous man who rules a short time, quickly raised from low to high estate. He will suddenly turn disloyal and volatile. This man will govern Verona. It's possible that with this last passage um, that Nostradamus is referring to, what was the name again of that horrible Roman emperor? It wasn't Nero, also wasn't Caesar. Caligula, I think. Yeah, Caligula was one of the worst emperors that Rome had. The guy really just destroyed the empire. He was like a child, a spoiled child or a disobedient child with, you know, he was like a spoiled, disobedient child with that had the power of the superpower back then at his feet, or the authority of the superpower back then at his feet. So it's possible he was talking about that. Through anger and internal hatreds, the exiles will hatch a great plot against the king. Secretly, they will place enemies as a threat, um, and so on and so forth. Okay, we're simply going to continue. Let's see. So yeah, this is really extensive. Okay, most of these passages either refer to the Second World War or things that took place in the 18th and 19th century, and it seems to be backtracking. Nostradamus with these poems seems to be backtracking back and forth between the Middle Ages, or switching back and forth between the Middle Ages and the 18th and 19th century. Um yeah, all of this is century one, okay, and then you go to century two, and it just goes on, okay. Uh, so yeah, I'm obviously not going to go through all of that. Sim Review says, Morrigan, my brother, how are you this evening? Best wishes from Sweden. The new hat is off the charts. Excellent. Yeah, thanks, my man. Oh, Sim Reviews, you're from Sweden. Okay, yeah. I saw someone from Sweden extensively, so I'm assuming that that's you, in terms of visiting my website, which I don't mind. Of course, but this gives me a more detailed insight into my public. Uh, so yeah, we're just going to. Sim Review says, yes, I'm from South Sweden, ready to visit you and learn stuff. Which town do you hail from in Sweden, if you don't mind me asking? Trelleborg. Okay. No, you'll have to excuse me. I'm not too familiar with Trelleborg. But okay. It's a small town. Okay, okay. I'll look it up later, maybe. I'm more familiar with towns like, oh, yeah, it's close to Malmo. I was about to say I'm more familiar with cities like Malmo, Gothenburg, and whatnot. In any case, I hope you're doing okay. I'm not going to go into it extensively. There's no need to do so. In any case, I just want a summary, of course, of Nostradamus. I think most of you want that. I mean, detailed analysis. His poems are there for detailed analysis, okay, but it's not necessary in my opinion. I've read enough, and we have gotten a good deal of insight into the technique, the occult technique that Nostradamus used, or the occult techniques that he used for predictions. So yeah, I'm simply going to read from an article which is summarizes it. The first one is the death of Henry II. And Nostradamus says the young lion will overcome the older one on the field of combat in a single battle. He will pierce his eyes through a golden cage, two wounds make one, then he dies a cruel death. What happened in the summer of 1559, King Henry II of France lined up to joust Gabriel, Count de Montgomery, who was 6 years his junior. The tournament was held to celebrate the upcoming wedding of the king's daughter. In their final pass, Montgomery's lance tilted up, burst through the king's poorly secured visor, pierced his eyes through a golden cage, and splintered according on the death of Henry II. In the journal, it's written that the profusely bleeding king remained conscious and was able to walk up some steps with an unsteady gait, but he was basically pierced in the eyes, two wounds made one, eyes, throat, and temple. And yeah, he died 11 days later. You name it. The Great Fire of London, too. And the prediction is the blood of the just will commit a fault at London, burn through lightning of 23 to 6. The ancient lady will fall from her high place, several of the same sect will be killed. Devastating Great Fire of London, the French Revolution, Louis Pasteur. In Louis Pasteur's case, it said the lost thing is discovered, and for many centuries, Pasteur will be celebrated almost as a godlike figure. This is when the moon completes her great cycle, but by other rumors he shall be dishonored. What happens, much of the excitement surrounding this prediction is based on the fact that pasteur is the French word for pastor or shepherd. Yeah. Adolf Hitler. From the depths of the west of Europe, a young child will be born of poor people, he who by his tongue will seduce a great truth. His fame will increase towards the realm of the east. Beasts ferocious with hunger will cross the river, the great part of the battlefield will be against Hister. Into a cage of iron will the great one be drawn when the child of Germany observes nothing. On April, yeah, Hitler was born in Austria, which is Western Europe, but his family was middle class, not impoverished. Hitler did rise to power brought to his oratory abilities and initiated World War II. Yak, yak, yak. Charles de Gaulle, the bombing of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Near the gates and within 2 cities, there will be scourges, the like of which was never seen, famine within plague, people put out by steel, crying to the great immortal God for relief. World Trade Center predictions, and it just goes on. Okay, that's enough in terms of Nostradamus and his seership. Simply Review says, I have a serious question I think many will benefit from to hear you answer, brother. I have read in a book, LHD, that the sigil of Lucifer is some kind of Asian version and connected to an egregore. That the sigil of Lucifer we see today is not his real sigil and is actually for an egregore. And that we should not use it. That's when they say in LHD book, what is your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this? No, Lucifer says that it is his seal, but it's also for the egregore that you mentioned. So it can be used for both. His seal covers a wide array of spirits, and that includes the spirits that he rules over. So there you go. That's your answer. In any case, does anyone have any questions or thoughts on everything that Nostradamus said? Okay. So as you can see, it's interesting because Nostradamus basically used an occult technique. Nostradamus used an occult technique which is awfully reminiscent. It reminds me of a lot of Renaissance magic, just traditional magic that you see in grimoires. So yeah, Nostradamus, it's not a surprise that he got a couple of things wrong because, he simply did his best, but in his time period, you were limited. He had little to no technology at his disposal. I can already imagine Nostradamus calculating things by hand and whatnot. So yeah, but still, he still did amazingly well, of course, back for his time. And from an occult perspective, yes, Nostradamus was excellent. He was a trendsetter. Nostradamus was like the Crowley from medieval times when it comes to prophecies. So it's amazing that he managed to accomplish and extract as much information as he did. And I'm glad that I read the beginning part of his PDF file, his notes, because they give an insight, specifically occult insight, into how he obtained this information. He simply summoned angels or an angel, and that angel helped him to refine his astronomical techniques and also helped improve his clairvoyant abilities to the point where he saw these things, where he was able to scry and commit to other techniques for the sake of prophecies. Um, I'm being told again. I haven't confirmed this, but yeah, I'm being told that I'm being told that Nostradamus also scryed, and the visions he simply got visions from scrying in his obsidian mirror. He used a regular as well as an obsidian mirror, but primarily an obsidian one, and these things gave him his prophecies, or things gave him his visions, tapping into the deepest aspects of the akasha. That's what that angel learned him or taught him, and yeah, that's it. I'm going to continue by simply discussing the validity of such a technique, and as you can see, it is valid. For those of you that are unfamiliar with the technique and are unfamiliar with what the akasha is, the akasha is simply the akasha is simply the occult universe. Basically, it's literally just the universe where all information on the universe itself is accessible from an occult perspective. So the akasha is literally like the astral grand library. Anything that you want to know about anything is like astral Google. Anything that you want to know about anything can be found on there, as long as you're capable of tapping into it properly to the extent where you are able to extract practical information from it. And one technique to accomplish this, or one technique in order to get this done, I don't know, I might read on it. I'm inspired to read on, to write on this. We'll see. Maybe I'll publish an article on it. Okay. Is to simply, how should I put this? One way to do it is to simply scry, and in scrying, simply seek out the information, basically willing yourself to see something, but not in a negative way, not seeing what you want to see. It's, let's just say that you were to scry and your intent is to tap into the akasha. You've done it, you've tapped into the akasha. You're basically scrying in front of your obsidian ball or obsidian mirror, and you're asking the question either verbally, physically verbally, with your mouth, or just via thought communication, so telepathy. You're simply stating your intent. You wish to see what events will occur in the coming year. And then you'll start to get things. So I remember back in the days when I was a beginner, I also did this. And when I asked certain questions, I did get answers, but they were really vague. So it is an art. You really need to develop and you need to fine tune your senses. Okay. It's all coming back to me now. I remember when I was in my one bedroom apartment, I practiced everything and shit. And yeah, the thing is that for example, I ask simple questions, questions in the sense of how, not too elaborate questions, because I recognized that I was just a beginner. So I literally made it as easy for myself as possible. I can't come up with a good example, but I remember when I asked a couple of questions, all of a sudden I saw a six, an astral six, just kind of like a smoky astral like figure drawing a six for itself and just passing like this. I remember all of these things. Yeah. So yeah, that is basically what the technique entails. So imagine mastering this technique, really having mastered it. Of course, it won't come falling out of the skies. It's something that you really need to master. Okay. Um, hold on for a second. Hold up for a second. I'll continue in a second, guys. Hold on. Yeah. In any case, yeah. So it's something that you need to fine tune, okay? But imagine you really devoting yourself to it, and if I were to envision myself really going at this full blaze, and I were to master it in 2 years, I mean, man, the things that I could see were to happen in the future. That is the realistic way to pronounce, or the occult realistic way to um, to to prophesize the future. A valid occult technique. I mean, I was a beginner, and I remember when I had mastered scrying, my my instructions told me, the guidelines that I followed told me that, hey, you can tap by scrying, you can tap into the akasha. That's why you're seeing energies float left and right, and you can simply ask questions, and to see what kind of answers you get and how credible they are. And I remember when I simply asked these questions, I did get answers every now and then, but again, it all depends on how well developed you are and how much you've mastered the technique. It goes, obviously, without saying, it goes well beyond scrying. It goes well beyond basic scrying. That wasn't the aim of my thingy, of course, but now that I'm talking about it, it's all coming back to me. I did see answers, So you can imagine if you really mastered it, the things that you can accomplish, futuristic, prophetically speaking. Because if you've mastered everything, you'll be able to see landscapes and everything. So it's like asking something to it's like the way you see in cartoons and you see in movies, looking into a crystal ball and actually seeing stuff happen. The same way that you see in cartoons, a witch looking into a crystal ball, going like this, ooh, magic crystal ball, and magic crystal ball show me what's going to happen, and you're actually seeing that person. It is rooted in some truth and some fact. So it wasn't just created from fiction. Most people like to think that It's just a cartoon, but a lot of things surprisingly have a root source in the truth. So yeah, there is some truth and the validity to it, and that's the legitimate way to make prophecies. So you can imagine. Okay, so I'm literally going to give you guys an example. I master this technique. What it will look like is I sit with my obsidian crystal ball or just a regular crystal ball, or I just sit with my mirror that I use for scrying purposes, and I literally just go to it and I start scrying and I say, show me what will happen to me next year. What are the most important events that will take place in my life next year? And again, if you've mastered it to the extent that I've explained it, then yeah, you'll start to see images. I'll see myself, for example, getting married with another woman. I'll see the woman's face, you name it. So you can imagine how practical and invaluable this information is, you know? And it's also similar to astrology in the sense that it cannot be corrupted by any spirit. So your magic mirror or the akasha, it can be corrupted by a spirit. So for example, if you have some kind of enemy that's proficient in magic and that either sends a spirit your way or negative energy your way in a form of a curse, and to basically disrupt your entire occult practice, if you will. No, or just some evil spirit comes your way or malevolent spirit and therefore disrupt your occult exercises. No. Occult exercises in general, like these exercises, energy raising exercises, the LBRP, all of these things, they cannot be corrupted. So there is no evil spirit that can touch your exercise. Or, for example, if to the point where you're misled, you know, that spirit causes you to see a vision in the sense of, oh, look, that's going to happen to me. Now, the Akasha especially is untouchable. Okay, since the Akasha is kind of is basically is God's knowledge, if you will. The Akasha is God's knowledge, and yeah, that's what it looks like. So that's what Nostradamus did along those lines. Based on his description, I'd say that an angel simply Nostradamus worked with an angel, and that angel taught him this exercise, and he had mastered it up to a significant degree. I mean, compared to that time period, Nostradamus was the shit. I mean, he mastered it to like no other. Of course, he wasn't 100% accurate, but still, the fact alone that he was able to extract these volumes of detailed information was thingy enough. One other thing too that I might add is that the scrying aspect will be literal, so you don't have no metaphors will be spoken. You'll literally see what will happen. You'll literally see what will happen with added information such as the aspects and conditions under which the event will take place. So the event itself, events are subject to change depending on certain global factors or individualistic factors, occult factors, spiritual factors, you name it. So an event might not occur if that's the case. So it's basically it's like a TV program that has underneath it subject to change. You know, there's basically a subject to change clause depending on the condition. Jason Dunn says Akasha's also beyond time and space, the great void, just as you say. Interesting topic, Morino. All is found in the Akasha, yes. He for sure must have tuned into the exact frequency in order to receive. One question for the community: is it dangerous to do invocations and rituals without any circle, even if we would ask Lucifer to protect us during the ritual? Would it still be bad to do without it? No, you don't need a circle whatsoever. Okay, that's just traditional, but you don't need a circle. The whole reason. Listen, let me tell you in short. The whole reason for a circle being present is because the way that they summoned spirits back then was similar to similar to um, similar to literally holding a gun to someone, you know, holding a gun to an incredibly dangerous prisoner and escorting him out the prison. Without the gun, the prisoner might kill you, but you need to consider why the prisoner wants to kill you. Motive needs to be present. Back in that day, they created circles, magic circles, because they literally coerced spirits into doing things for them. How would you like it if someone held a gun to your head and forced you to commit to slave labor or similar? You'd literally try to kill that person or screw that person over the second you got the chance. That's it. I have never, not once during an invocation used a circle. So I was always completely metaphorically speaking at the mercy of the spirits that I work with. But of course, the only one to whom that really applied was my patron, and to a lesser extent, my vice patron. My patron, honestly, is the only one. Okay, because Samael was the only one to whom I opened up myself completely. But every other invocation that I've done after that, every other contact with spirits, he has always protected me and stood by my side, as he will always continue to do so along with my Vice Lord Sandulfon. So yeah, but that's the theory behind a magic circle. You don't need protection if there is no motive. Okay, when do you need protection? When you did something wrong or when you piss people off. Okay, that's when. But if you summon any spirit and you just go about it in a normal way, then you shouldn't have any issues. Jason Dunn says no disrespect. Exactly. Exactly what I was thinking. Thanks for clearing that up. They told me that spirits will come to take my blood offering without a circle. Holy shit! I have no idea. Again, I have no idea why you guys bother yourselves with reading shit on the internet. On the internet, seriously. And Sim Review says exactly. Let's ever hear about circles again. I never used them too. Ever I was scared first time, but Lucifer gave me such confidence. Nothing can break it today. Maybe only poltergeist activity. LOL. Thank you for letting us know. I believe that the answer will benefit many. Jason Dunn says a true circle of power is a metaphor for your personal sphere of sensation and the equilibrium of the elements within you. Yeah, that's true. Okay, listen. A magic circle, aside from what I said, I gave you the definition and reason for a circle being present within some specific summonings, especially summoning spirits that are seen as malevolent or malevolent in intent, such as demons, etc. So spirits that will want to harm you in general, just for the sake of torturing you or agonizing you. But another thing is that another thing is too that a circle, also a magic circle drawn, not an actual magic circle, let's just say an astral magic circle, is seen as you being within time or aside, you being outside of time and space, and you basically representing God, or you being a representative of God, and God thereby giving you the authority to summon forth any spirit. Because by whose authority are you summoning these spirits? In whose name are you summoning these spirits? In God's name. That's what it stands for. From a Kabbalistic perspective, that's what the magic circle stands for. So it's basically God that is giving it, not basically, it is God that is giving you the power to summon these spirits, etc., etc. That's the Kabbalistic definition of it. The true circle of power is a metaphor for your personal sphere. I'm sorry, I already read that comment. Jason Dunn says, kudos, Paran Moreno, Victor Jesus, hi again, Moreno. Have you worked with spirits from the 50 names of Marduk? I've been researching that pantheon recently, but still haven't approached any of the entities. Listen, these spirits, 50 names of Marduk, these are simply fictional spirit. The whole point, the whole Cthulhu thing is literally fictional. But the thing is that magicians have taken it seriously, and therefore some of these spirits have come into existence in the form of egregores, and others are have pagan histories and backgrounds, including Marduk. So yeah, so that's it. But other than that, it never really interested me because I know that H.P. Lovecraft material is fictitious in nature. He simply drew them from existing entries on pagan spirits and whatnot, you name it. Similar to the Goetia. That's all. So yeah, that would be the technique specifically regarding prophecies. So imagine just really pimping the shit out of such a technique, and you could simply you'd literally be a real life you'd be a real life seer or clairvoyant. You could literally just tell people, listen, you can literally just tell people that you can see what will happen in their lives in the future, etc., etc., and you can hold just you'd literally be like what are they called again, those people that those gypsies that have crystal balls, you have those kind of stores in the US, damn it, and you've often got these small thingies. They also use tarot cards. I forgot what they're called, damn it. In any case, um in any fortune tellers, yeah, Victor G, yeah, thanks. Just going to a fortune teller, you'd be a real life fortune teller. But keep in mind that even if you were to do so, you're the only one that can see the visions unless the other person is just as well developed as you. Similar to me being the only one that can see the spirits that I work with. The only other person that can see spirits is someone that is well developed, like me, someone that's clairvoyant on a basic level. That's why people have told me too that, some people, other magicians that I interact with, the very few that I interact with, told me too that they can sense the guys that I work with. Someone that was clairvoyant saw me years ago, for example, told me, I can see Lord Samael with you. I can see him right. I can sense him and I can see him next to you. Those are simply notable examples. So keep in mind that when it comes to occult techniques overall, doesn't just apply to prophecies or fine tuning into the akasha for the sake of prophecies or foretelling the future and whatnot. It that it applies to you. Other people will not be, especially the average person, won't be able to see a fucking thing. The average person will not be able to see a single thing. You're the only one that will be seeing these visions. So yeah, that's what you need to keep in mind. Victor G says, yeah, I guess so. Although wasn't Marduk a biblical figure, by the way? No, Marduk was a pagan god. Hold on, I have an article on Marduk. I did write about Marduk, so yeah. So you guys can hear in the background, it's raining in my location again. In case you were wondering, what that noise is, that's simply the rain. I hope that my fucking connection does not fall out. Piece of shit internet. Yeah, this is my article on Marduk Victor G. So yeah. Uh, so you can read that if you want to. So yeah, does anyone have any questions relating to the art of prophecy and the art of foretelling the future and simply being able to see into the future or the past or anything like that? Sim Review says, bro, do you hear Belial inside your mind like your own voice or is it something else? I think I'm starting to hear him and it feels like my own inner voice, but it's not the same words I use. It's quite cool. Yeah, that's normal. Victor G says, yeah, well, as always, thanks. Okay. I'm 1 hour and 6 minutes into this live stream. So yeah, does anyone have any questions again relating to prophecies? That is the legitimate way to go about prophesizing the future, and that's why also in a lot of grimoires, in a lot of traditional grimoires, for example, the what's it called again? The Grimorium Verum, the grimoire that Lucifer is mentioned as the head. There is also a technique described therein which will enable you to see certain things. And you need to consecrate a mirror within the guidelines of the Grimorium Verum. And then you can simply hang it on a wall and you will be able to get certain visions if you ask a couple of questions. But this applies to the only within the context of the Grimorium Verum. So you need to adhere to all the so-called rules in it. Aside from that, um, aside from that, that's also where you guys are familiar with the witch from Snow White. That's also where that myth comes from. The whole mirror, mirror on the wall, or Snow White. Yeah, Snow White. The witch saying, the evil queen saying, mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. That's where it comes from. See, another example of a myth that has roots in reality, that has roots in occult reality. That's where it comes from. A lot of people will just dismiss it as in, hey, it's just a movie. They simply made shit up. Mm-mm. It has some fragment of truth in it. So that means it's derived from somewhere else. Okay, all the things you see, these things weren't taken out of thin air. I'm not saying everything has a root in reality, but as you can see, I've given you two notable examples. The whole fortune teller with a crystal ball has roots in reality, occult reality. It's the same thing with mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the most beautiful one of them all, and the face appearing in the mirror and giving you answers. That also is derived from a legitimate occult technique or an exercise. That's where it comes from or stems from. Jason Dunn says, comes to mind is John Dee and Edward Kelly. Yes. Yellow King has joined us. When you look into past lives for customers, what method do you use? I use astrology specifically, but not too many people have asked me about past lives. Simridu says, thank you so much for everything you do, Morino. Much respect. Jason Don says the truth is stranger than fiction. When you become aware, you see it also very clear. Also very clear. Yeah, I agree. I do have to ask, with the bad weather, can everyone see and hear me okay? It's raining like shit in my location. Okay. I'll show you guys. Hold on. Go. Look what's happening outside. It's raining like fuck outside. Oh, crap. Yeah, most of you are confirming that you guys can hear me okay and see me okay. Holy moly, some review says, I love it when it rains and you sit by a window and hear that sound. Yeah. No, the rain is more than welcome for me because it's hot as fuck. So yeah, the rain will definitely cool things down. Okay, Google. Current temperature.
The temperature in the new road right now is 30 degrees Celsius. Due to the current humidity, it feels like it's 35.
It is hot. It is warm at the very least. Um, what else was I going to tell you guys? Listen, also based on basic witchcraft techniques, right? Also have their root in medieval grimoires. Techniques like try to find a black hen, that's still a virgin. Try to do this, try to do that. Get dirt from a graveyard at midnight on such a day. All of these things are derived from medieval grimoires, and they were simply incorporated into witchcraftian or Wicca-based, or simply, like I said, witchcraftian rituals. That's where they come from. That's where they have their root. That's where they stem from. So yeah, those are examples. Something that people still use up to this day. It's in folk magic too. So yeah, I'm done with the topic of. I'm done with the topic of. Done with the topic of prophecies. You can ask miscellaneous questions now. All you wish now. Some refuse that, so basically all the herbs and oils and shit the Wiccas used to do a spell with, let's say Bune, it's not even needed at all. When I could just summon Bune and get to know each other. It's also possible, but yeah, it's not really necessary. Holy shit, hold on. I had to close the tiny window above my bathroom, because otherwise rain is going to seep into the bathroom. I don't want that. Um, Okay, Sim Refuse, you can still hear me okay? Jason Dunn says, Murugam, I'm going to go out now. Really enjoyed the stream. Great content. No problem. See you around, Jason. Yellow King says, any thoughts on folk magic as a whole? Do you incorporate any of that in your practice? Some minor elements, yes, but not in a traditional way. Um, Sim Review says, we hear you, but a little bit of static. It's all good though, just letting you know. Okay, a little bit of static. That's odd. Find that really odd. Hmm. Let me see if everything's okay with the speed. Lower ray of pitch black says the same. When you speak, there is static disturbance. Hmm. That's odd. There's static disturbance. Yellow King says the same here. Sim Review says could it be the rain causing electromagnetic shift in your space? Mics can pick up on it. On the static, yeah, I think so. Okay, because the rain is like adding background noise, and yeah, the rain is adding added background noise, and that causes a little bit of static because my laptop speaker is pretty sharp, so hence that. But it's okay. The rain should stop at any moment. The rain is basically passing through. It's already subsiding. The area of pitch black says nothing major, though we can still hear you pretty clear. Okay. Uh, Victor G says maybe if you move away from the window. As a matter of fact, I think I can go sit in my living room. Hold on for a second. I can sit in my living room, so yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. Oh, ah. You guys can hear me clearer now, I'm assuming. Can you guys hear me okay now? Sim review says, oh yeah, 10, 10. Yeah, I thought so. Yeah, yeah. Hold on. Oh, oh. So yeah, we should be good to go now. My living room is a bit more congested than or a bit less congested compared to my bedroom. So yeah, we should be okay now. Yellow King says, damn, I have to go. Glad to catch you for a few. Sound is better now, yes. Um, the little pitch black says much better. Sim refuses. I'm sorry that you have to do all of this to speak to us. Hope you don't mind. No, of course not. It's just my living room. It's literally just I can have the laptop run on battery, but I don't want to. So I'm like, nah, I'll just plug it in, and all I need to do is take the extension cord along with the laptop adapter, and that's it. I have multiple adapters and extension cords, so it's not a problem whatsoever. We owe you so much already from the knowledge we learned. Yeah, sure, no problem. So again, you guys can hear me okay now, right? Um, hmm, okay, centrifuge says it's back to normal, everything. Yep, okay. So yeah, does anyone have any questions specifically? Any questions whatsoever? Still warm despite the fact that it's raining. Um, so that's it in any case on the topic that I was discussing. That's it regarding prophecies. There have been other prophets, obviously. Baba Vanga was also one of them. Baba Vanga was a Bulgarian blind seer too. I don't know if her name is Baba Yanga or Vanga. I think her name was Vanga. Vanga, yeah. Baba Vanga, yeah. Her name was what? Vangelia Pandeva Dimitrova. Yeah. Was blind Bulgarian mystic. She was born in North Macedonia. And most of us are familiar with Baba Vanga's predictions. Yeah. Sim reviews as I still feel that energy from Belial in my spine every day since the ritual. It's rising up further every day. Amazing. Yes, he says he's unlocking your Kundalini. Victor G says, I'll repeat my question since it went back in the chat. Is Goetia your go to pantheon when you have to work with spirits for clients or just other ones than your patron? Um, I'm sorry, I didn't, to start off, Victor G, I didn't catch your question. Oh, yeah, I saw it here. Okay, no, 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 I'm sorry, it got lost in the chat, like you said. Um, it just got lost in the chat. The thunder, I mean, thunder, I thought you hearing thunder. Huh? Okay, in any case, no, Goetia isn't my go-to pantheon. I have a final draft of spirits that I work with, and I simply, aside from my patrons, if a customer wants something, I simply work with one of these spirits in order to see to it that that customer gets what he or she wants. Even if a customer has a spirit that is not included in my final draft, I simply, even if a customer isn't included, if a customer asks me to work with a spirit that is not included in my final draft, I can still work with that spirit without erecting an altar, etc. And my patrons provide that spirit with the energy primarily, and the rest comes from the spirit itself. Lower pitch blitz asks, would you recommend scrying for beginners? Yeah, absolutely. Scrying is one of the basic exercises that you need to master in order to get going. Victor Jesus, no worries. I asked it while you moved. Sure, no problem. Uh, yeah, so Baba Vanga was another example. Baba Vanga is another example of a mystic or someone that could predict the future, etc. She predicted, or allegedly, uh, she's allegedly been accredited with predicting the 9/11 terror attacks, the rise of ISIS, and of impending cataclysms in 2019. She's also seen as the Nostradamus of the Balkans. In her case, it was simply a gift that was bestowed upon her. She had that as a character trait. She had basically built-in clairvoyance, if you will. But she mentioned a bunch of things that Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, will survive an assassination attempt in this year. Tsunami will strike Asia in this year. A bunch of stuff. I have no idea if any of this is true. Will the world come to an end in 2019? We'll see. So yeah, so yeah, those are things about Baba Vanga. Victor G says, yeah, she's like a legend. Here, yeah, I can imagine since you're in Bulgaria. I mean, obviously she's a legend. Baba Vanga also is, at the very least, partially. Not all of her predictions are correct, but some of them are correct. She is like a lesser version of Nostradamus. So yeah. Larry of Pitch Black says, can you maybe give a list of 3 or 5 things beginners must master? What are the most important? Now, if you want that, then you'll have to buy my e-occult course. Just buy the course and you can literally go through everything. You can literally just go through everything step by step. I spoon feed everything to you from the very beginning, if when you don't know anything, all the way up to a ritual itself. And I show you everything on camera. So yeah, that is that. I'm assuming that you're familiar with the link. If not, then give me one second and I'll send you the link. This is the link to the e-course, Little Ray of Pitch Black, in case you are unfamiliar with it. Victor Jesus, most of our prophecies came through, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I'm familiar with all of them. Yeah, neither me neither. Okay, I read. You really have to look for the information. If I look it up, I think I also remember when I think I also remember when I looked things up that she also mentioned that she also mentioned that Muslims would invade Europe and they would start a new caliphate in they would start a new caliphate in Europe and that Europe will become a wasteland and that they'll use as a Rome will be their capital basically for their own caliphate. So, do any of you guys have any questions relating to Baba Vanga? I think Nostradamus and Baba Vanga are the only 2 ones that I am familiar with, or that most people are familiar with. For the rest, I'm not familiar with any other seers. There have been others that I'm being told, but they're not nearly as well known as those two. So yeah, in Nostradamus' case, it was magic, and in Baba Vanga's case, it was simply a trait that was bestowed upon her at birth. Um, Someone new I haven't seen before, Cyan O'Loughlin. O'Loughlin, yeah. Says your website shows the skill that a spirit can help you with. I use your website as a directory. Do you know if a spirit who also functions as a directory? On what techniques example? On general clairvoyant matters? Do you mean that? Sim Review says, thanks again for this time you take to talk to us. I don't trust a lot of people to talk about the occult, but I sure trust you and the spirits tell me I can. So long until next time. Bye, Sim Reviews. See you later. Victor G says, well, Baba Vanga lived in modern times. Most of what we know about her prophecies came after the 1950s. Yeah, I agree. As opposed to Nostradamus, which was literally centuries ago. Nostradamus was from medieval times. Lower ray of pitch black says static again. Yeah, that's because the rain keeps subsiding and increasing intermittently. That's why. Yeah, unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that. You know, the microphone picks up every sharp noise. Even if I do this, you know, you'll hear it. Yeah. Oh, fresh shit. So yeah, now you guys can see how heavily it's raining. Yeah, the rain keeps subsiding and increasing, and just keeps going on and on and on. Unstable fucking weather. Weather is so fucking unstable. Um, so yeah, other than Baba Vanga and Nostradamus and Baba Vanga, I'm not really familiar with any other seer that that people refer to when talking about prophecies. But another thing that needs to be discussed is the practicality of making prophecies. Honestly, being able to make prophecies can be practical in the sense that you can make a living from it or similar, but it depends on the situation. Generally speaking, when taken at face value, prophecies can be impractical. Making prophecies can be impractical because a lot of people won't take you seriously, so you need to know how to navigate and how to go about it. Yeah, you need to know how to exactly go about it. You can't just tell anyone that, hey, I do prophecies and I can foretell the future, unless you want to be labeled a nut job or you want to be seen as insane, you name it. So you really need to go out, you need to find the right way to apply your prophetic skills, if you will, to in such a way that you can benefit from it in a mundane way. Victor G says that you can read handlines. That's a pretty good way of telling fortune telling. Palmistry, yeah, palmistry, yeah. But palmistry is too basic and no one takes it seriously. Palmistry is legit, but it's too primitive. Okay, it's too primitive. Um, Tarot cards are a more advanced form of palmistry, if you will. All depends. Gloria Pitch Black says, I love it, how beautiful. Well, the neighborhood isn't beautiful. My balcony is beautiful, the neighborhood isn't. Cyano Lofton is asking me whether I use runes to evoke entities. No, I don't use runes. So yeah, if anyone has any other statements, any other questions, either about prophecies or anything miscellaneous, then go right ahead. So yeah, anyone have any other questions? Anything at all? Victor G, any other questions? Anything, any discussion? No one's saying anything. I'm sorry, guys. Everyone is still there, right? I'm assuming that the chat bar didn't crash again or something similar. Victor G says, well, I'm thinking about what? Victor G says the audio is becoming pretty bad. Questions, I meant. Yeah, that's why I'm asking you guys. Can you guys hear me okay or not? So that's what I want to know. Just let me know if you can hear me okay. You should be able to hear me okay. Victor G says I can still hear you, but it's becoming difficult. Why? I can hear myself just fine. Let me check. Hold on, let me double check. Okay, yeah, no, I just double checked, just so I know that what I sound like to you guys. No, I know what you mean, okay? The audio isn't specifically bad, it's just that you guys can hear me in a more static way, right? My voice is half robotically. It's like I'm talking through my nose. You guys hear me in a nasal way. I think it's time to move again. Okay, and I don't think it has to do with it has to do with the connection. I think the connection is the reason for why it's not doing too hot or not doing too well. It's okay. Hold on. Um, I'm simply going to sit at my desk, and things should be okay there. Things should be okay there because my voice is more isolated here. Uh, so I'm assuming that you guys can hear me clearer now, right? yeah, you guys should be able to hear me okay now, I'm assuming, right? My voice is more isolated here, and yeah, should be clearer. Yeah, I just tested it, okay, yeah. I can hear myself clear now. Um yeah, I can hear myself now. And yeah, I just tested it. So yeah, now you guys can hear me clearly again. Um, but yeah, chat is being a bitch. The chat bar is being a bitch, and you can't refresh. Piece of shit thingy won't refresh. Piece of crap. Piece of crap chat bar won't refresh. So I need to go about it in a different way if I want to continue chatting with you guys. Yeah, hold on. I can still, again, everything's fine regarding seeing myself, but chatting is a different issue altogether. I need to go to live streaming event room, blah, blah, blah. Live streaming. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Okay, stream status is good. Health is good. Everything is fine. Yeah, a little bit of pitch black says yes, it's fine now. Oreo was asking me which demon is your favorite. Hello, Oreo. I haven't seen you in a while. Welcome. I didn't notice you. Okay. Which demon is my favorite? I don't really have a favorite demon. I don't really have a favorite demon, to be honest. No real favorite demon. YouTube is such a piece of crap. YouTube is such a piece of shit, okay? Can't even refresh the chat tab without ending the live stream. Cyan O'Loughlin is asking me what my thoughts are on the Book of the Law. I have no real thoughts on it. I'm not too big a fan of Crowley. I have nothing against Crowley, but I'm not a real fan of him. And yeah. So Victor G, for example, do you have any questions? Vic G, any other questions? As well as the others. Cyan O'Loughlin says audio is fine. Yeah, the audio is fine because my desk is more isolated, so my voice is contained. The wall right next to me, and so on. That's why. Let me see. So in any case, guys, that is regarding the topic that I discussed, or the main topic of this the main topic of this live stream. Itomansky Deichev has joined us, asking me what Samaya looks like, and Ori was asking me what Sakini looks like. In any case, that was it on prophecies. I have pretty much nothing else to say. There's not too much to discuss when it comes to prophecies, other than it being a legitimate, and I mean, other than everything I just explained, the legitimacy behind prophecies or techniques to go about prophecies, such as working with a crystal ball or scrying or similar, you name it. Itomansky Daichi says what the Samaya look like again. If I were to show you what Samaya looks like, the description is in is in his article. Hold on, I I need to. Hold on, I just need to look up the article. Crap. Uh, yeah, Daichi, see my articles on Samael. Ori was asking me whether I've worked with Hikari. Yes, I have worked with Hikari. Hold on. Uh, uh, this is my article on Hikari. By the way, Hikari is also very beautiful, very sexual in nature. And honestly, she gleams, I mean, she radiates necromancy because her skin is kind of grayish. She's almost, when it comes to appearance, she almost reminds me of someone that's dead. You know, the light or the slight purple look that dead bodies have. That's what she looks like a bit. Victor G says a question sometimes hours after evocation. I see spirits that are unfamiliar to me, most likely the result of the rituals. Uh, However, no bad presence. The problem is that they sometimes appear out of nowhere to me. What would you do in that situation if I can make them reveal their personalities? I talked with VK about that in context of vanishing techniques, and he said to just meditate imagining them and just wait for their personalities to be revealed. That's just basic visualization. These are just familiars, generally speaking, Victor G. They're the personalities that these spirits have. So, I mean, that the spirits that you summon have, they're basically the subordinates and familiars that the spirits that you summon have, and basic banishing should take care of them. But if they're not doing any harm, then I don't see the need in doing so. These are often, generally speaking, especially if you summon the spirit for something, then these spirits are the ones that are actually that are doing the actual work. They're basically the spirits that work under the main spirit that you summon. And you're telling me that there's no actual problem and that only if I feel an evil presence then should I do banishing stuff. So yeah, I just gave you an answer, so it's clear. I'm assuming. Obviously. So yeah. Victor G says, yeah, I've never done banishing, but just wanted to know what you would do in those cases. So yeah, in any case, now you know. It all depends, okay? I also see familiars every now and then. I didn't in the beginning, but I am seeing them now. And yeah, they do. Spirits, generally speaking, appear out of nowhere, but I don't mind. Victor G says, do you cleanse your house after the ritual? No, 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 no. I don't cleanse anything. But I don't need to cleanse. I have, Oreo says, then you should. Oh, you're talking to Victor G. Okay. No, he shouldn't really. Okay, like I said, these spirits aren't malevolent entities. Actually, banishing might have an adverse effect. Banishing might prolong any kind of result ritual wise, because it's possible that these spirits are the ones that are it's possible that these spirits are the ones that are working on your behalf in the name of the main spirit that you summon. For example, when you summon Lucifer, Lucifer isn't literally going to do your work. He has plenty of subordinates that will do the actual dirty work. So hence that. So yeah. So yeah, anyone have any other questions? Any other general miscellaneous questions or otherwise? Victor Jesus, well, there's no actual problem. I just wasn't sure how much freedom I might be giving them. Well, like I said, you don't have to worry too much about that. By the way, Victor G, I really like that. I really like that meme. Okay, really like the meme picture, and so do others. I changed it to my Facebook profile picture, and a couple of people are laughing their asses off. Again, a job well done. Oreo says, as far as I know, other occultists recommend to cleanse the house after the ritual because some nasty stuff can stack up. But am I wrong? No, cleansing is literally a basic technique. Cleansing is just literally a basic technique, okay? It's not something that you have to worry about per se. Uh, it's a basic technique, but once you're more experienced, you'll see that it's not necessary to continuously um, to continuously cleanse and banish and whatnot. Now, yeah, I'm sorry. Itumansky Deichik says good stuff. I'm pretty sure I've seen Samael. His face was glowing, golden yellow with a gold crown, and his body was gray and black with a cloak, robish thing around him, and he had a beard, and he was on a throne, and he was as tall as a building. Okay. Oreo says, by the way, what's your occupation? What do you mean? You mean what I do for a living? Are you asking me or someone else in the stream, in the chat bar? Oreo says you. I'm an occultist. That's what I do for a living, literally. Um, this is what I do for a living, Oreo. Itomansky Deichi says, does it sound like him or what? Yes, he says that's one of his forms, but that's more of a hidden form. That's not his true form. That's not what he really looks like in general. So just now you know. Um, Itomansky Deichi says, or is that even you in the profile picture? What do you mean? Is that even me? Uh, what do you mean? Oh! So if no one has any questions, I'm going to close off the live stream, assuming that no one else has anything to say. I mean, otherwise, there's no use in me just. Otherwise, there's no use in me just sitting here like an idiot. If no one has any other questions. Victor G says, who makes the artwork for your site, by the way? For example, the one on her Katie, do you find images on Google of her, or someone makes it specifically for you? The former, I just look things up online. The image on a Katie, for example, is an image that you can find on Google. If you just look up a Katie, then you'll see art or basically, for example, a Katie artistic imagery or a Katie drawings, then you'll find stuff on her. So yeah, that's it pretty much. I've got five people watching the stream and three people upvoted. Three people upvoted. Three people upvoted this live stream. So there you have your answer in any case, Victor G. I'm assuming that you got my answer right just now. I'm assuming obviously that everyone can still hear me okay. There shouldn't be any issues. Itomansky JJ was asking me, does Samael take in regard who he helps? Who he helps destroy for you, like innocence or guilty? Yes, of course. He's not going to destroy. He's not going to destroy someone innocent, not son. Otherwise, I'll suffer karma. Oreo says, Deichi, you pervert. Oreo says, bye guys. Bye, Oreo. Okay, so yeah, no one has any other questions. And Victor G, did you understand what I just told me? I mean, Victor G, did you hear my answer? Oh, okay, you said you got it. Okay. Oh, Victor Jesus audio is fine now, no worries. Yeah, I know that it's fine. I logged in on Firefox with a dummy account. I do that for testing purposes, including my website. So yeah, I know what I just listened. I listened to myself a couple of minutes ago. So yeah, I know that you guys can hear me okay, but I'm just asking. You just never know. So yeah. So yeah, I think I've been streaming for 2 hours now. I think I'm gonna call it a day. No one has any other questions. The stream has died down a bit. Sorry, and I'm missing other people like Victor B. I mean, what am I saying? Victor B. I mean, David B. Code 919 and whatnot. I'm missing the usual people aside from Victor G and Itomansky Deichi and Oreo, etc. Itomansky Deichi says, "What does Samaya like for an offering?" He's Martian, so he likes things related to Mars. Okay, guys, in any case, I am going to call the stream to an end. So I'm going to finish things up. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Itamansi Deji says Mars bar LOL. That is a good one. That's funny. He says he might also like the Mars bar, but he's also just joking. In any case, thanks for joining, guys, and thanks for joining, guys. It's been fun. I will see you around, and until the next live stream.